Hello everyone, Olympiad finally over. It's been 12 days, really long term. India totally crushed men and women sections. Congratulations again to them. We try to do recaps every day, and today's video gonna be about 5 best players of this Olympiad, because who performed well, especially like super strong, unexpected, and stuff like that. But before you start asking different questions, in this list there will be only one player from one country. So let's say if you ask me why there is no 5 players from Team India, where is one player or another, there is a limit. One player for one team. I understand that sometimes it's going to be difficult pick, but still just to show more talents, more players, show their games. Because right now, one by one, I will show the results of the player and also one of the brightest games in my opinion. And the first one, unexpectedly, is a guy that you probably have never heard of, and this is Tony Lazov from Macedonia. And he showed great performance. He scored 7.5 out of 8, which is almost 100% result. He won, let's say, against Pierre Casper 2600 GM. He made a draw against Jordan Van Forest, and in general played for his team pretty well. He was on the second board, as I understand, and he showed performance 2763, which is like unspeakable performance. And the game I'm gonna show today, this is gonna be a game against Kasper Pierun, Polish Grandmaster, and they played in one of the last round. It was probably round 8, I believe. And he plays with white pieces, so let's get started. It was Caro-Kann defense, e4, c6, d4, d5, e5, c5. Normally, by the way, you probably have seen such moves before, because this is one of the main tabias in the Caro-Kann. Normally people go bishop f5, which happened, by the way, in the video that we already in one of our recaps, when Magnus Carlsen played against Parham Maksudlu, and Parham chose bishop f5, which led to very interesting position. Right here, black tries to play c5, trying to get some sort of good range when the bishop will not be hurt. And let's say after c3, knight c6, we can develop and try to play against the center, have very good pieces, and target d4. In the game, dc was played. White sees the pawn and takes it. Why not? Free pawn. And it's partly free because it's very hard to defend it, because moves like b4 can be faced with b6, a5, totally undermining and crushing our pawn chain. In the game, knight f3 was played. Normally right here, white tries to go for a3 before and trying to develop bishops like that, trying to rely on the space. White chose a bit other approach. Bishop d3 goes first, knight e7, knight bd2. Right here, white started thinking, I guess it's hard to go wrong, many good moves, so let's not stop really on development that much. Knight went to c6, which this is already a surprise, because normally knight goes to g6, so that there was no Greek gift sacrifice. At the same time, we could easily attack the center from different angles. a3 was played, probably trying to prepare before and at the same time stopping knight before in the future. Black anyway responds with a5, castle, knight d7, rook e1. White plays the most natural moves, defending the pawn in the center. Bishop e7. You can try to wonder and type in the comments why do you think bishop e7 was played, but idea probably to release the square for the knight, because right now black kinda being punished for the mistake in the beginning, because if knight g6 was played, the knight wouldn't have to go to c5 somewhere. a4 was played, a bit strange move, but maybe trying to stop expansion of the opponent. Let's say c3, in my opinion, looks better, but maybe white was afraid of a4, knight c5 idea. Queen c7, pawn on e5 is attacked, so we must defend it. Knight c5, bishop goes to b5, saving his ass. Castle, knight f1. This is a typical maneuver, releasing a diagonal for the bishop, plus the knight can go to g3 and h5 in the future. And black decides to break through, playing f5. And white right now need to choose whether white want to take en passant or rather continue development. But if continue development, not so clear where we are going. We cannot really break the center, cannot play on the king side. So EF followed, which is the best move in the position. Great decision by Tony. And then after bishop takes f6, we can see that there is a weak pawn on e6. Bishop e3 targeting the knight. c3 closing the road for the bishop. Knight d6. And right here, bishop e4 would be perfect move, trying to occupy this outpost, trying to stun an opponent, but white has a different idea in mind, and even though engine a bit dislikes it, it has a point because, I mean, white continue development, maybe later want to play knight h5, maybe want to provoke take, and try later to get some knight versus bishop and backward pawn position. But black thought for a while and decided it's time to run in the center, strong center, we need to capitalize on it. And from this very moment, problems started appearing, because this pawn becomes vulnerable, and these two are kind of hanging pawns that we can attack from different angles and try to get maximum value out of it. So queen d2 was played, bishop c5 was very nice move and creating lots of pressure later on with the spin, disabling knight b5 move. But still, and after knight e7, bishop g5, trying to target the root of this pawn. Black plays supernatural move knight f5, but this is a terrible blunder, and some of you might say, okay, it's pretty simple, blah blah blah, but it's not that easy to find in the real game, especially when you play against 2600 GM. He goes knight f5, bishop takes f5, so far no trouble, but here comes decisive knight takes e5. And with the question, what the hell is that? The point is, right now, bishop g5 doesn't make any sense because we take back, but this free knight is not really free, because after bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, queen d5 comes, absolutely destroying the position of black, winning 2 pawns. Okay, right now we'll win the piece, before we won 2 pawns, and it's 2 pawns to sum up. And that's it. Probably right here, black was pretty upset, kind of letting down the team, but right here already it's not the real game. White got decisive advantage and won the game. So in general, pretty perfect performance. It's like 33 points of rating. Amazing result, and that's the reason why this guy's on top number 5, because I wanted like not only top GMs be here, but diversity of different players. And let's go to the top number 4. And on the fourth place, we have Gurel Diz from Turkey. Young talent. He's like 2008 birth age, so probably right now he's like, what, 16 or 15. And as you can see right now, he scored 9 out of 11, as I can see, which is amazing result. No losses. He even won the coach of Godem Chess in the round number 4 next answer tours. And also he defeated some strong grandmasters like Petrov Nikita. He made draws against Antor Guijarro from Spain and also against Radoslav Wojtaszek, which is a great result. 23 rating points up, and also rating performance 27.55. Really carried the team with another young guy. Actually, you might have seen him in the recap of Hikaru, but let's try to see what's so unique about his playstyle, how he performed in this tournament, what is his best game. And I decided to choose a game against Nikita Petrov from Montenegro, former Russian player, because, I mean, some of the games were already analyzed before, but this game seems quite interesting. It is plays with white pieces, and it was Nimzo Indian defense, pretty solid opening, so what could go wrong for both sides? Right here in this position, queen c2 is played, trying later maybe play 4, or in general just defending this knight so that our pawn structure didn't get spoiled. Castle a3, bishop takes, queen takes, and right here normal ways are to play something like b6, d5, moves like that. Right here in the game, rook e8 was played, which is a bit non-standard, but it prepares pretty casual idea in Nimzo Indian to play d6, e5, trying to set pawns on the color opposite to our bishop, close the center, and maybe later start some attack. Knight f3, d6, bishop g5, h6, bishop moves away. There was funny move g5, but probably black, of course, saw that it's too much. Played queen e7, e3, e5, takes, because if we don't take, black will try to get more space, but after taking, e4 move is not scary because our knight has a nice square in the center. Bishop e2, bishop f5, and trade here knight d2 was played, preventing different maybe jumps to e4 with the knight with the bishop. But anyway, black decided to go knight e4, and it's not black who is dumb. The queen is not hanging because black also counter-attacked the queen. But after this trade, right here, white has a little bit better development, and white can try to fight for the only d file first. Right here, maybe it was even better to reject the trade, trying to play from a space advantage point of view, but right here white took, and it also makes sense. Then rook d1 was played, and white already on the way to play rook d2, rook d1, and totally control open d file, which will guarantee the small plus for him. Knight f6 was played, rook d2, and right here black probably wants to play for a win because black tries to pressure, playing h5, followed by h4 later on. Queen c2 was played, great move, because right now, if let's say h4, we have an opportunity to play h3 and maybe later go knight f5 because our queen supports us very well right here. That's the reason why rook d8 was played, rook d1, takes. And again, as I said before, control over open file is very important, and that's where things start getting messy. Black not satisfied with just some even result, plus the position is worse, so black looking for a blood, for attack, for everything. h3 was played, queen e6, white decides, okay, my knight is not doing anything, I need to improve it, plus h4 was about to come. Black plays queen e5, centralizing the queen, knight goes to c3, having different angles how to continue, c6 instantly played, but it is continuous pressuring his opponent by playing queen a4. Every single move it's or improvement or creating pressure on the opponent. Queen c5 was played. Right now we cannot take the pawn, we neither can play before because our pawn is hanging, therefore what? Rook d4 comes, because right now b4 will be available. In the game a5 was played, but it's time to attack another weakness, and black must play rook e7. Black should have calculated different consequences of this check, probably nothing scary, but still. Knight goes to a4, and right here already it's getting like cloudy. It's very hard to play for black because white creates pressure, white controls majority of the board, squares, and so on. Black plays queen e5, which is again engine trying to find little differences between moves. Queen b6, and black going all in, playing g5, g4, trying to get this guy, while white will eat all those juicy pawns on the queen side. Knight goes to c5, g4, and right now it's really spooky, scary, whatever synonym you choose. Takes gh, and right here white kinda played a bit inaccurate because white needed to played this extremely bold move, saying that we don't really care and our king is out of reach somehow, which is a very hard decision to make. Queen a5 was played, which is very reasonable because when you up material, you want to trade pieces. And right here, black played pretty quickly, even though black has enough time, which was hg move, and it was a decisive mistake of the game. What black needed to lift, and probably black saw it, but I don't know what happened, was knight d5. And the point of this weird knight sacrifice is that it pays off eventually because of the counterplay, because of the holes around the king, and being the whole like material down, like rook, knight, pawns all together, black has this final maneuver to save the game, which would be a miracle. Instead, hg was played, king g2, knight d5 was played to continue this idea somehow, but white already grabbed a lot of material, and what white needed to do is to run away from all these checks, and that's how it is managed to win this game. Perfect performance. Some other games were also very well quality, and I mean pretty promising talent who will definitely show some great results in the future. But for now, it's only fourth place. Let's go next. And on the third place, we have Le Tuan Minh from Vietnam. He showed, as you can see, perfect performance, scoring 9 points out of 11, playing on the second or third board, and he scored 34 rating points, showing an incredible performance, 27.95. He managed to outplay Sindarov, Bartel. He managed to win against Tari. He didn't lose any single game, and the reason of success in the first half of the tournament was because he played incredibly well. But later team started playing worse and ended up out of top 10 in the end, but still pretty good performance overall. And the game I chose for today's video is a game against Yavahir Sindarov, Uzbekistan player, and Vietnam managed to, score points in this game. Not, because of this game actually. So let's see what was happening. Le plays for white pieces. He decided to play d4. Sindarov playing e6, kinda inviting him to go into French defense. But knight of 3 was played. And then c5. Right now another transposition possible, which is a transposition to Sicilian, but after thinking, Tuan Minh plays g3 in this position, inviting his opponent to Catalan. And right here, actually, Sindarov started taking enormous amount of time. Right here, let's say 13 minutes. Then he keeps on thinking, and they transpose to the very well-known tabia of Catalan after DC. Many games were played. I played a few, only with black color right here. And the idea is that position of black incredibly solid, but white has some pressure, and white tries with a good piece play, bring black down, find a weak spot, and hit it. But the funny part, I have a feeling that both of the opponents didn't know exactly what the main theoretical lines, because after castle, knight b3 right here, there are two main continuations. One is c4, bishop b2, another one is to play knight d4 and try to instantly turn on your bishop on g2, who is incredibly strong because he's fianchetto. After c4 here, bishop b2, knight d4, rook c8, knight b5. Both of the players has 49 minutes on the clock, even though it's like only beginning of this line. After b6, knight d6, bishop d6, rook takes d6, bishop e8. A lot of endgames were played. Different approaches can be applied, but in general, position around equal, and black is staying alive because white has some weakness, and it's hard to convert bishop pair. But right here, Sindarov under the pressure plays e5 move, and right now probably Lea should have played something like c5, trying to get to d6, because then we can make this pawn incredibly strong, and it's very hard to play. I don't even know what was prepared for it, because if like some bishop e8, we can anyway get there. But he plays rook c1, reinforcing the position. Sindarov tries to keep everything under control by playing weird move knight e8. Later on, we can play f6, completely shutting down the bishop on b2. And again, c5 was an opportunity, but he had different approach. In his mind, he plays h4, as if he's some alpha 0, pushing h pawn, seeing that f6 can be played, and trying to fix many pawns on the dark squares, creating some holes on the light squares. After f6, he goes back to c3, because he spots that d5 is juiciest square for the knight over there, bishop g4. Right now we cannot go there because our pawn will drop. Many people would just go and not pay attention, but not him. King f1, rook takes, rook takes. Right now I guess after rook d8 nobody would trade and knight e5 will be played. Bishop e6, here bishop f8. And right now, despite the fact that engine says that it's equal position, it's already around time trouble, and for white it's just easier to play. You don't need to invent something. He plays rook c1, not forgetting about his weakness on c4, king f7, and now he plays f4, grabbing more and more space, trying to squeeze his opponent. b6 was played, knight e3, retreating, potentially preparing f5 and trying to invite the king to the center of the dance pole. And after taking knight to 7, he prevents this idea. Knight d4, another piece is improved. Incredible pressure already somewhere. Some capture like this and check can be played unless there is f5 right now. Bishop d7, bishop a3, bishop is not working. And as you can see, it's getting worse and worse for black because white continue improving and all of black pieces standing over there and doing absolutely nothing. And then after knight c7, rook goes back because this pawn is not under pressure anymore and we're attacking. And here black made a decisive mistake with a 1 minute on the clock by playing bishop a4. Okay, not decisive yet, but it's like uh, stream of unstoppable events. g6 was played, bishop d6, and here was a decisive mistake. Natural move knight e8 with 4 seconds on the clock attacking the bishop, and you actually might have seen it in different articles, let's say on chess.com, in different puzzles, because here comes bishop e7, bishop takes, even though it was better to take with the king, but then eventually this pawn drops, which leads to very bad position. Bishop goes to d5, king g7, and it looks like king one step away from being in the corner, having bishop pair, and here comes knight f5. And black just resigns. Why is it so? Because after taking, not taking is not an opportunity because it's just GG. Chuck and King has nowhere to go, and he's actually made it in a pretty cute way. So great performance by Tuan Min. Really great result. Unfortunately, his team didn't get to top 10, but still they have probably bright future if they continue playing like that. So let's go to our silver medalist, top number 2. And on the second place, we have Uzbekistan player, and you already started thinking it must be Abdusatorov, right? But no, and it's not Nodirbek, even though I was thinking to include him here because his performance was great. But in my opinion, Vahidov Shamsuddin played this tournament even better because, as you can see, he scored 8 out of like 10, I believe. Yeah. And he played a lot of strong grandmasters. He's the first one who stopped Arjun Irigasi from his win streak by holding a draw in a very tough matchup, and he managed to stay alive. He managed in the last rounds won 2 strong GMs, especially Van Yue in the important match against China. He brought him down. He played a lot of games with black color, which is not really easy. And yeah, it's like he made draws against Korobov, for example, who was also in a good shape. And let's see what game I picked right here. And this game against one Yue Chinese player, where he managed to win in the very tough battle. Right here, the game started pretty solid. Again, probably Nimzo Indian, and again, the same line. So today some educational lesson about Nimzo Indian, but right here c5 was chosen. Castle is the main move. There is d5 and there is c5. c5 idea is to play more dynamically, and actually players played in the most well-known theoretical way. Knight goes here, bishop goes to g5. Pretty often bishop goes to f4 in this position, trying to control the whole on d6. Bishop goes to e7 to remove the pin. Right now e4 was actually possible, but Chinese player choosing something less aggressive. h6, bishop goes back, b6, bishop e2, bishop b7, rook d1, rook c8. Again, this is all the theory, and black tries to justify rook placement right here by playing knight a5. Right now white needs to defend. b3 allows d5, weakening this knight on c3 and the pawn on a3. Therefore, knight d2 was played. Pretty neat move. I really like it, but it doesn't stop Vahidov. He plays bishop a6 in this position. Queen a4, pawn is still defended, but he continue pressing this pawn, trying to hit it. And right here, Van Yue probably could have just taken on d5, and after bishop takes, and queen d5 or knight d5, don't know what's better, both are fine, probably get some drawish result, but he decided to play for a win, which is logical when you play white color, and he went knight b5, attacking a7. Right now, perfect move by Shamsuddin is queen e8, because right now taking the pawn is not available because the queen is hanging over there. So bishop f6 was played. Probably better was to take, trying to say that, okay, our knight is defended, but right here, white got too excited about the position and was what we have. I think it was kind of positional error by Chinese player, because right now he has 3 pawns. One pair is doubled against 2 pawns, and Wahidov has 1 extra pawn in the middle, plus its opposite color bishop position when activity matters more, and this bishop, in my opinion, is more active. B4 was played, knight c4, takes. And even though engine says that this position is equal, I don't believe in it, because this pawn will come to c3 and will be always as distracting for the opponent. Right here probably was better to go rook c1 and try to play very aggressive, maybe try to even grab this pawn, at least some compensation, but when you plays rook d6, gets c3, already somewhere c2 in the end, might be dangerous. Rook d1, bishop goes c5, kicking away the rook, seeing where it goes, because let's say going to rook d7 is not very good, because it's for c2, it's kind of overload, and white cannot defend pretty easily. Rook d3 was played, a6, pretty funny move, inviting white to take this pawn over here, but then after c2, rook c1, bishop b2, rook is trapped. So queen c2 was played in this game. AB, and already black is up a pawn, which is a great result, even though with opposite color bishops it doesn't matter that much. Rook a8, looking for activity, trying to target the weakness. Bishop b5, and here rook comes. Queen e4, and right here the safest way to play was bishop f6, but Shamsuddin plays queen b8, which is totally natural, but right now it was sufficient for white to fight for a draw, because right here after h4 there were some chances for attack, so better not to allow it. So kinda an inaccuracy. But when Yue doesn't notice it, he believes his opponent, believes his bluff, plays g3 back. Bishop goes to f6 right now, and right now this attack doesn't affect that much. Queen goes to e5, rook takes b6, and even though Shamsuddin gives up a pawn, his activity speaks for itself. He plays rook d8, creating a pin. Somewhere already c2 can be a threat, because for example, like we can take queen e4 as well, but even if takes already c2 will be possible because of the back rank weakness and different pins. Rook c1, rook a2, rook c6, attacking the pawn, and right here probably something like queen f5, defending the pawn, would let the second rook come here and win the game, but it was already around time trouble, so rook b2 was played, and both of the opponents are kinda in adrenaline, playing this sharp position. Queen f3, king g7, bishop e4, queen a6. Probably it was better and greedy to take the pawn, guarantee perfect winning chances, but Wahidov was going for activity, and right here it could cost him the game, or at least half of point, because right here after queen g4, bishop g5 as it happened, there was a repetition with queen f3, and after rook f2, let's say there will be some perpetual. So yeah, a little bit loss of concentration in the time trouble, everybody does that. Again, rook b4 was not bad, queen d6 was pretty good, but his opponent plays h4, which is natural, but then rook f2 comes, hg, h5, queen d1, right here bishop b7 was the best move, and it was already move number 41, but it's very hard to see the difference in such position, and after rook d2 takes, it's extra queen. The game continues, but it's queen for rook and the bishop, and the game went on. White had some chances, practical, but Wahidov leads the game to the end, to the victory, without giving any tiny counterplay in the end. So, not very precise game, but a lot of pressure on the opponent, a lot of not obvious decisions for Van Yue helped right here to get this victory. And right now, let's go to the top number 1. And on the first place, as expected, we have Levon Aronian, who showed a great performance in this tournament, crushing everybody, carrying the team of US, completely dead team, to the second place, especially his great game in the first round against Panama, where he sacrificed the piece, not blundered as everybody says, definitely sacrificed, lifted up the spirit of US team that helped them in the end up on the second place. Stop writing your comments. It was a joke. Of course, it's not Iranian because you would eat me completely after that. It was like a little joke, a little prank. Of course, on the first place, we have Gukesh. But maybe many of you would say, why not Yerigasi? Why are you praising Gukesh? Because, as we remember, only one place for one team, and look at this performance. How you can put anybody else on the first place? Yeah, Yerigasi was going 100% result. He was doing great, but what Gukesh did was just incredible, just beyond any explanation. His performance is above 3000, which is incredible. He raised 30 points of ratings. It's like it just unbelievable, because to raise 30 points of rating for me, it's like I need to get the GM norm, win some open or something like that. So it's like this result is incredible. He scored 9 out of 10, I believe. Yeah, 9 out of 10, winning such players like Caruana, Fedoseev, VE, and this like bloody list goes on and goes on and goes on. Irigas is still great player, still great performance, but what Gukesh did is just leaves everybody speechless. And we actually analyzed two games of Gukesh in this tournament, and there will be somewhere links right here about these videos. So today I decided to choose the game that I did not analyze, and this is the game against Parham Maksudlu, who managed to make a draw against Magnus Carlsen, the GOAT. So let's see how it went. It was a game against Ireland, who was kinda doing damage to all teams. He was on top 2, top 3 somewhere. But then after this match, everything fall apart. The same as in Vietnam. After first half, Iron didn't recover very well. And trade here, finally not Nimzo. So yeah, it wasn't all set up. He plays Starter's defense, which is a I don't know, very bold pick. Perham probably prepared. But yeah, he chose g3, which is one of the main lines right here. There is also bishop g5 as well, which is quite popular. But Perham plays g3 with an idea to create isolated pawn for Gukesh and try to win somehow. But normally speaking, the theory goes very, very far away, and black has a draw somewhere with modern engines at least. Right here, castle, pawn is hanging, so black needs to defend it before white could take it, but then black really wanted, looking for some counterplay. It's all pretty much analyzed for Gukesh, I'm pretty sure. He plays d4, knight a4, castle, all theory. Rook e1 is not the move you frequently see, because something like bishop g5 or knight b6 would be more common. And Gukesh right here thought for the whole 1 hour and 20. Oh, sorry, he got 1 hour and 20. He thought for like 12 minutes, melting in the end of the video already, as you can see. And his idea is to stop bishop g5, which is super reasonable move. Bishop f4, bishop e6 developing. Parham immediately jumps with his knight, start attacking the bishop who has just moved, and the pawn on b7, creating the pressure on the pin. And right here, Gukesh plays bishop d5, which is one of the best moves. Computer likes a little bit more take first and then play bishop d5. But here he set a really tricky trap, because taking the pawn is really dangerous, even though it was the best way to play. Because going a bit in the future, Parham took on b6, and after ab, he took on d7, giving Gukesh an opportunity to choose what square he prefers. Better was, of course, not to ask, take knight b7, and then after, let's say, queen e7, because queen d7 lets the knight go back, and we don't want it to happen. Knight takes, pawn takes. e4 is the best move. Why not knight d6? You will see because of what happened in the game. And here total madness going on. I don't know how to calculate all of that unless it's a preparation. Everything is hanging. Right now there is the pin. White tries to defend it. Capture, capture, knight e5, the best move in the position, hoping for a knight f3, and this cannot be taken because the rook goes down. Take knight f3, here knight d4, and after this long battle, massacre, whatever this is, the position according to the engine around equal. But Parham plays supernatural move knight b6, and Gukesh sees the difference. It's very important, and he plays queen d7, which is the better move, because after e4, which was the best move in the position, he can take d and not be afraid that rook takes him with the threat, because the rook is attacking nobody, and it gives incredibly important tempo to play knight b4. Right now this knight can be taken because the bishop is defended and we are good. Knight goes to d6, bishop g2, king g2, rook d8, and it turns out white is up a pawn. Why to be upset about? But the reason to be upset about because everything is pinned. Queen can move, but then knight d5 is the threat. Knight cannot move, queen is hanging. So this is it, black tied up. And then after rook b3, knight goes to d5, bishop e5, queen e6, queen d4 strictly the only move. Gukesh could have taken like this, getting two knights for rook and the pawn, and practically speaking, chances for a draw are high because closer it is to the endgame, more value rook and the pawn gets. But right here, knight g4 was played, which practically may be one of the best decisions, inviting Parham to some, again, tactical battle with an idea to go something like knight e3 and getting some advantage in the end, which is, again, great calculations by Gukesh, as usual. He's very good at it. Rook d1, knight goes to e7, saving the knight continue pressure in minor pieces, takes, and here comes knight f5. Again, pins, 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 dynamic. It's all over the place. And let's say queen g4, also not possible because here comes knight e3, discovered attack, different forks. So queen f4 was played, and after knight g7, rook b6, f5, h3. Probably it was better to go knight f6, threatening knight d5, but he goes knight e5, which is not critical mistake. And this bait was good enough because both of the players are in the time trouble, and perhaps makes snap decision by playing knight c4, which seems to kinda simplify the position, create some threats, but Gukesh finds absolutely everything, playing rook d1, getting after the king, while this king is safe enough because at least he's gonna be mated later than king of white. And this all leads to this position, after which Parham resigned because knight h5 mating threat. If queen goes somewhere else, I don't know where else it can go. So this is it. Please comment down below who you think deserved to be in the top 5 but didn't get in my list, which was kind of subjective, of course. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, and share your opinions. What do you think about Olympiad, about the players, about the teams? Any feedback would be appreciated. And see you in next episodes. Bye.